Have you ever noticed how, often, the kindest, most caring, and open-hearted people end up involved with partners who only bring pain and confusion? It's as if those who most want to love and build something true are drawn to those who manipulate, control, and drain their strength. At first glance, this seems like inexplicable cruelty, but there is a logic behind it, a psychological logic. And when you understand how these patterns work, you discover that the fault was never in your kindness, but in how that kindness was used against you. If this topic resonates with you and you want to understand more, subscribe to the channel now. This way, you won't miss future videos and will continue to discover answers that can transform the way you view relationships. 1. Empathy as a gateway. Good people possess something special, the ability to feel what others are feeling. It's as if they have an emotional radar, capturing the pain hidden behind a smile, the sadness hidden in a look. They can't simply see and ignore. On the contrary, they reach out, offer support, and believe they can heal wounds with care, patience, and love. And that's precisely where the problem begins. Those with toxic intentions see this empathy as an open door. They know how to play on the appearance of fragility. They portray themselves as victims, talk about pain, exaggerate problems, and know exactly how to awaken this instinct to care. To the generous-hearted person, this sounds like a call. He, she needs me. But this compassion, which should be a strength, ends up becoming a trap. The manipulator doesn't want to be healed. They want to control. They use kindness as bait, turning empathy into a chain. And often, by the time the person realizes it, they're already trapped in the cycle of trying to save someone who never truly wanted to be saved. But that's just the beginning. Because it's not just empathy that creates space for toxic relationships. There's also a deep desire to please, and that can be an even greater danger, and you'll find out soon. But before that, leave a like if this content is interesting to you. 2. The desire to please those with a good heart often carry an almost automatic desire to see others happy. These people believe that love means giving themselves completely, putting the other person first, giving everything they can, even if it costs them sleepless nights, hidden tears, or even their own peace. For them, making someone smile is reward enough. The problem is that, in the wrong hands, this desire becomes a weapon. Toxic partners know how to exploit this like no one else. At first, everything seems beautiful. You dedicate yourself, make an effort, make small concessions, and believe you're simply showing love. But little by little, the demands grow. They ask for more time, more attention, more sacrifices. And, without realizing it, you begin to carry alone a burden that should be shared. What once seemed like affection and dedication becomes exploitation. It's like a glass of water that never refills. The more you offer, the emptier it seems. With every kind gesture, every sacrifice, the toxic partner feels entitled to demand even more. And in the end, the person who only wanted to do good ends up suffocated, unaware of where they lost their edge. But the truth is that the desire to please doesn't act alone. There's another silent factor that creates this cycle: low self-esteem. And that's when things get even darker. But first, I want your opinion. Do you consider yourself a good-hearted person? And do you always want to please others? Leave it in the comments. 3. The wound of self-esteem. Many good people carry scars that don't show on the outside, but weigh heavily on the inside. Childhood rejections, harsh words that have never been forgotten, or even that feeling of not being recognized enough. These old wounds cause the person to grow up believing they need to constantly prove their worth. It's as if the heart silently says, "If I'm good enough, maybe someone will finally see me." This is precisely where the toxic partner finds a home. They sense this need and offer it in small doses, a sudden compliment, an unexpected gesture of affection. But soon after, they disappear, grow cold, and ignore it. This contrast is devastating. The little affection that does appear becomes precious, almost addictive. You begin to believe that to maintain that momentary glow, you need to try even harder, give even more, and deny yourself even more. Over time, this dynamic creates an invisible prison. The good person, who only wanted to love genuinely, begins to live in a cruel dance of ups and downs, where their own worth seems always dependent on the mood and approval of others. Self-esteem, already cracked, becomes a chain that binds without even realizing it. But perhaps the most impressive detail isn't this pain, but something even more insidious: the manipulator's ability to transform into what you've always. 4. The reflection of the ideal. At first, a toxic partner seems like the answer to all your prayers. They observe your every detail, copy your gestures, repeat your words, and even adapt to your dreams. If you show affection, they return it with the same intensity. If you talk about plans for the future, they dream along with you, as if you're on the same wavelength. For a while, everything seems magical, as if you've found your soulmate, someone who finally understands and shares your essence. But what appears to be a deep connection is actually just a reflection. The manipulator acts like a polished mirror, reflecting exactly what you want to see. They don't show you who they really are, only what will earn your trust faster. And when that trust is solid, when you've already surrendered, the mask begins to crack. It's at this point that the illusion shatters. Affection turns into demands, dreams turn into control, and what seemed like genuine love reveals its true face: calculated manipulation. The feeling of having found someone perfect shatters, giving way to the harsh reality that you never really knew the person you were involved with. But that's not the end of the story. There's a darker motive, a silent pattern that seems to repeat itself like a cycle throughout your life. And understanding it may be the key to breaking the chain for good. 5. The unconscious cycle. Good people often don't realize they carry within themselves an old script written in childhood. Those who grew up in an environment where love was accompanied by pain, whether in the form of criticism, absence, rejection, or lack of affection, unintentionally learn to see this combination as normal. The brain imprints the message that love means sacrificing, hurting a little, enduring in silence. And so, as adults, these patterns repeat themselves like an invisible echo. When they meet someone who awakens the same feeling of instability, of love mixed with suffering, it's as if a part of themselves is saying, "This is familiar. I already know this." The heart believes it is finally home, when in fact, it is just reliving old wounds. It's not that the person wants to suffer, quite the opposite. It's that the unconscious confuses pain with familiarity, and what's familiar, even if toxic, feels safe. This is where many good people end up trapped in relationships that repeat, almost identically, the scars of the past. But there's an even deeper layer. Behind this cycle, there's also the difficulty of believing they deserve something different. And this detail can be the decisive factor in breaking or perpetuating the invisible prison. The difficulty of believing that you deserve more. After so many emotional scars, many good people begin to believe they're unworthy of a light, healthy love. Deep down, they harbor the idea that they need to take what comes, as if asking for respect were too much to ask. This silent belief creates space for toxic partners who sense insecurity and exploit it mercilessly. Little by little, the person begins to settle for crumbs of affection, believing that's the most they can get. But the truth is, deserving true love isn't a matter of luck. It's a matter of recognizing one's own worth. And when this awareness awakens, something radically changes. Because then comes the ability to say no to what hurts and make room for what truly strengthens. But there's another surprising detail: the way the manipulator creates emotional dependence to keep this cycle going. Want me to expand on this next point? Conclusion. So why do good people attract toxic partners? Because your empathy, your desire to please, your emotional wounds, and even your dreams are used as tools against you. But never get confused. The fault is not in your kindness. The problem lies with those who decide to exploit this kindness to control. The true strength of a good person is not to love without limits. It's learning to set limits. It's transforming empathy into clarity. And understand that being good can never mean losing yourself. And in the next video, I'll show you how to transform this sensitivity into protection, so you never again confuse kindness with weakness, and never again attract partners who only want to take advantage of you.